Ia bă, Raule, că dau stream, uite. Dacă vrei. Gratis. Gratis. Gratis.
Hello everyone! Glad you could make it this evening. Congratulations on finding your way here in one piece. Welcome to Scenic Site 98, one of the few abandoned properties once belonging to the Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation, and the base of operations for their new Socialize, Communicate, and Publicize initiative. This facility used to operate as a low-risk anomalous object vault and information substation, but a rather nasty incident left it completely inoperable a few years back. Now it's been granted new life for the purpose of introducing fresh new hearts and minds to approved areas of the Foundation as part of the new Public Relations Program. It took a lot of strings being pulled, and by that I mean a continued barrage of leakers, whistleblowers, and YouTubers. But the Foundation has finally decided to introduce us formally to their world, and as part of an arrangement to make up for all my break-ins and containment obstruction acts, I'm now serving as your first official tour guide, supervised by the company selected for social media outreach, Amino Apps. Amino is a community gathering supercenter, offering communication grounds for all types of people and their interests, and they're proud to be working with the Foundation to offer SCP Amino, their latest space to contain all discussion of anomalies, oddities, and things they're now officially able to acknowledge do in fact exist. No matter who you are or what you're into, Amino has a community for you, and that now includes our own little group of future E-Class personnel. The E is for electronic. Polls, blogs, quizzes, images, and more are available to SCP Amino members for the purpose of finding, discussing, and interacting over all manner of Foundation topics. You can use it to get to know your peers in the program, share creations about anomalies and containment, or provide descriptive stories about the items that are never allowed to be seen due to their odd or forbidden nature. As part of the new social media initiative for the Foundation, they'd like to know what is particularly interesting to the general public in order to restrict any further access. What? I meant, in order to provide greater insight for curious minds. Therefore, I've been tasked with collecting data at the end of our journey through the Amino app about your interests. I set up a post on my account in the app that will allow anyone who joins to comment with feedback on something new they've learned about the Foundation that they particularly enjoy, something that they are highly interested in. We'll be seeing and learning plenty tonight, and I'm sure something is going to catch your eye, so let me know. And seriously, if you come across something that holds your attention too much, please do reply to my post. You might have encountered a rogue anomaly and will need to begin quarantine immediately. Whether it's a staff member, an item, or trivia about the Foundation, be sure to share. To participate in the post-tour data collection on SCP Foundation Amino, just click the link in the description or pin YouTube comment and follow the prompts to download Amino for free on iOS or Android. Or you can download Amino by searching your app store, then searching for SCP Foundation once you're in. Remember, you can find me there by searching my username, Nightmind. Let me know what SCP item you especially enjoyed seeing. Your contribution will have great ramifications on making sure the general populace stays well informed. Now, let's get orientation started with our new friendly neighborhood monster catching organization, shall we? We've all heard about the items that belong to the Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation by now, and the whole run of how the documents actually flow. All those numbers, descriptions, where it was found, what it will do, how it can kill you, the Keters and Euclids and what have yous. But how much do you really know about this organization? Do you even know the origins of this fine establishment? Well, have a seat and open your minds, because it's time to really meet your favorite shadow operatives and get acquainted. The Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation, otherwise known as the SCP, has been around for much longer than you or most people have been alive, although the unfortunate leaking of information concerning their existence is cited as beginning on 4chan's paranormal board, known simply as X. In 2007, a user known online as the USS Walrus or Moto42 posted the first document taken from the Foundation's care, concerning item number 173, the statue. While we don't have record of the original post the day it was made, archives were established on January 16, 2008 showing off the text, which laid the groundwork for all future authors of Foundation data theft. Cut and dry, to the point info on the subject, its description, and how to make sure you aren't killed by it, just like the doctors ordered. In the wake of the original document leak's popularity on the X board, several viewers came together to also engage in violations of the Foundation's attempts to keep the public safe, submitting their own findings on items and facility care. This eventually led to the creation of a wiki in early 2008 on the site Edit This, but moved from its first home to another host, Wikidot, on July 19, 2008, where it resides to this day. To their credit, at least 72% of the information found on the wiki site can be confirmed as related to Foundation fact, while the rest will not be commented on, nor will the nature of any aspects of the site be officially recognized as part of the 72% truth or fiction. The Foundation is, however, happy to let you look over the layout according to the public unsanctioned wiki site. As many of you are already aware, items, beings, and the indescribable entries in Foundation archives are listed under classifications most befitting of them. The current run of classes pertaining to objects are Safe, Euclid, Keter, Thaumiel, Thaumiel? Thaumiel? Thaumiel. For me, it's Thaumiel. And many Foundation members' personal favorite, Neutralized. There's also a final class, a truly rare type with a name befitting its scarcity, Esoteric. How does the Foundation decide on a classification? By doing what they do best, putting it inside a box, locking it up, and seeing what happens. This is known as the aptly named Locked Box Test. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and nothing bad is going to happen, it is most likely safe. We like safe. According to Public Foundation records, there are 1,629 items currently marked safe. This is a good number. If you lock it in a box, leave it alone, and it's not certain what will happen, it is probably a Euclid. It is not fun if you know about a Euclid, but leaks happen. The danger of the public knowing about a Euclid is purely a case-by-case basis. Public Foundation records currently list 1,979 items as Euclids. Rumor is there's currently an office potluck plan for the moment the Foundation reaches that nice round 2,000 mark. If you lock it in a box because it has killed, will kill, wants to kill, and then demonstrates an ability to escape said box for the purpose of killing, it is definitely a Keter. You will probably die before you learn about a Keter. We do not like Keters. Not even other Keters like Keters. The result of Keters meeting each other has often resulted in our favorite category, however, Neutralized, demonstrating that yes, in the world of the Foundation, two wrongs do in fact make a right. Public records indicate there are currently 728 Keters in containment. This number is too high. If it actually is the box, then it's most likely a Thaumiel. We're still not entirely sure what that means either, but it's most likely a term made specifically for the time the Foundation actually found Schrodinger's cat. The current number of Thaumiel objects listed in containment is 75. Word around Site-19 is that item 76 is currently undergoing study, so its exact nature is unknown, but it's allegedly a physical manifestation of disappointment and broken promises in the form of a video game. Researchers attempting to find out more have experienced halted progress due to consistent server and console crashes. It should be stable enough to make a report in a year. If it's in a box of its own making and you don't even know how to describe what kind of box it just made, it's esoteric, which is simply to say it defies any other label that we try to put on it, like teenagers on the internet insist is their own description. Ironically, this is also an act of labeling teenagers. Good job. For a great example of an esoteric item, please look up SCP-2505. If you don't need to put it in a box or want to put it in a display case as a result of good fortune, it is neutralized. Neutralized is good. The public records of neutralized objects result in a current count of 131. This number is too low. For more information on being neutralized, kindly ask any D-Class personnel you meet on our tour. Oh, that's right, we've got people here too. It's time to go over our next category list, classes, because like all functioning societies, the Foundation has an extremely rigid class system in place. First up, let's go over some generalizations, which are good for general introductions generally. Everything here has a security level, because of course it does. Depending on your rank in the Foundation and your ability to handle world-shattering secrets, you'll be issued a security clearance from 0 to 5. Level 0 security is primarily what you all were given when this initiative was designed, but being realistic about things resulted in admitting that you're all at least a level 2 by now. Level 0, official use only, is granted to non-essential personnel who have no need to see information about anything actually done here. This is the Janitor's Clearance Badge, and the starting point for all stories about secretaries who suddenly discover the quaint little science lab they work for has a dark secret. Level 1 security clearance is for everything confidential, which means we confide in you to stay out of the way of people who do the actual work even though you're aware of what they're up to. This is the badge given to janitors who work on the other side of the big secret vault door behind the Banksy painting at the end of the hallway next to the bathroom. Level 2 security clearance, restricted. Now we're talking. This is what you're after, at least to start. Restricted access is granted to researchers, field agents, and containment specialists. If you're one of the men in black, you've got level 2. But if you're the manager of the goons out in the field delivering amnestic flashes, it means that you're level 3. Secret. Senior security and research teams get this badge because they're given the fat skinny on the data pertaining to anomalies, their sources, how to catch and contain them, and what to do as a plan of action. Project heads and their assistants, emergency response team leaders, and all mobile task force operatives are granted level 3. This is what it means to graduate from being a Robin to a Nightwing in the SCP comic book universe. Level 4, Top Secret. Top administration of facility sites and major strategy initiatives across the Foundation as a whole get level 4. Site directors. If you don't need to put in a security clearance from 0 to 5. Level 0 security is primarily what you all were given when this initiative was designed, but being realistic about things resulted in admitting that you're all at least a level 2 by now. Level 0, official use only, is granted to non-essential personnel who have no need to see information about anything actually done here. This is the Janitor's Clearance Badge, and the starting point for all stories about secretaries who suddenly discover the quaint little science lab they work for has a dark secret. Level 1 security clearance is for everything confidential, which means we confide in you to stay out of the way of people who do the actual work even though you're aware of what they're up to. This is the badge given to janitors who work on the other side of the big secret vault door behind the Banksy painting at the end of the hallway next to the bathroom. Level 2 security clearance, restricted. Now we're talking. This is what you're after, at least to start. Restricted access is granted to researchers, field agents, and containment specialists. If you're one of the men in black, you've got level 2. But if you're the manager of the goons out in the field delivering amnestic flashes, it means that you're level 3. Secret. Senior security and research teams get this badge because they're given the fat skinny on the data pertaining to anomalies, their sources, how to catch and contain them, and what to do as a plan of action. Project heads and their assistants, emergency response team leaders, and all mobile task force operatives are granted level 3. This is what it means to graduate from being a Robin to a Nightwing in the SCP comic book universe. Level 4, Top Secret. Top administration of facility sites and major strategy initiatives across the Foundation as a whole get level 4. Site directors, security directors, mobile task force commanders, and people whose names you aren't even allowed to hear are granted level 4. In continuation of our previous analogy, level 4 is Batman. Now for the big one, level 5. Field agents and project heads and their assistants, emergency response team leaders, and all mobile task force operatives are granted level 3. This is what it means to graduate from being a Robin to a Nightwing in the SCP comic book universe. Level 4, Top Secret. Top administration of facility sites and major strategy initiatives across the Foundation as a whole get level 4. Site directors, security directors, mobile task force commanders, and people whose names you aren't even allowed to hear are granted level 4. In continuation of our previous analogy, level 4 is Batman. Now for the big one, level 5, Thaumiel. Only someone as intimidating as a top security keter is granted level 5. These are the people who know the most horrible things about reality and our chances of survival that you can imagine, and the things that you don't want to imagine. Unlimited access to all data and secrets, with full power of decision-making and strategy, and all the burden that brings with it. These are Batman's writers. Now, aside from security clearance, the Foundation has classifications for personnel based on what they're allowed to do when it comes to encountering what's held in containment and the data about it. These are classes A through E. Class A is exactly as awesome as it sounds. Essential Foundation members, so important that they're too good to be exposed to any forms of anomalies. They could potentially know everything about an item in containment or a threat to the universe, but they're not allowed to be anywhere near it for their own safety. An absolute, too important to lose you kind of situation. Top council members and those in positions of government with access to the Foundation are among this class. Class B are those deemed essential to Foundation operations on a lower scale, and as such are only granted access to objects, entities, and anomalies that have made it through quarantine and safety checks. They would be Class A if they were either a fraction more indispensable, or if they weren't absolutely needed in the room when looking directly at anomalies. Whenever something goes wrong in containment, Class B personnel is the first to be evacuated, assuming there aren't any Class A badge carriers on site. Class C. This is where it gets so important that they're too good to be exposed to any forms of anomalies. They could potentially know everything about an item in containment or a threat to the universe, but they're not allowed to be anywhere near it for their own safety. An absolute, too important to lose you kind of situation. Top council members and those in positions of government with access to the Foundation are among this class. Class B are those deemed essential to Foundation operations on a lower scale, and as such are only granted access to objects, entities, and anomalies that have made it through quarantine and safety checks. They would be Class A if they were either a fraction more indispensable, or if they weren't absolutely needed in the room and looking directly at anomalies. Whenever something goes wrong in containment, Class B personnel is the first to be evacuated, assuming there aren't any Class A badge carriers on site. Class C. This is where it gets a tiny bit dicey. Class C members have unfortunately been lost before, and some have stories about times the anomalies in containment were not as harmless as they seemed. Class C is allowed direct access to anything that's been studied well enough to determine that it's not immediately dangerous or wants to eat you. However, their presence is more or less what helps actually figure that out for good. The best work is done to keep C-Class safe, but they are the very line between dangerous fieldwork and indispensable assets to the Foundation. It's not easy being C-Class. And now for D-Class, our special friends who make sure C-Class members survive much longer. The job of D-Class is extremely important, and without it, nothing would really ever be learned or get done in the Foundation. Class D personnel are the frontline heroes who are sent to deal with everything seen as a first contact experiment, and second contact, third contact, fourth contact, and on until they learn enough to be satisfied. D-Class comes mostly from the large pool of prison inmates convicted of heinous crimes, particularly death row. The Foundation considers it a chance at redemption and an honor, granting D-Class citizens new life with a purpose to society. Finally, we have our Class E, you guys, specially recruited through YouTube and our friends at Amino. Remember to sign up and find me on the SCP Foundation site to let me know what's most appealing to you about this orientation video. The Foundation really, sincerely wants to know what's attractive to you about the things I'm saying. E-Class. Remember, it just means electronic. And exciting. Our final classification info stop comes around to the title system. What are you called and what do you do here really? How did you get into this facility? Explain yourself. Use this phrase whenever you encounter somebody that you don't know, and you'll be sure to hear one of the following. Containment Specialist. These are the trapper heroes responsible for putting new Christmas presents under our tree. Containment team members do exactly what the title implies. They're the ones called on to take care of cases of anomaly activity, containing the item in question before dragging it kicking and screaming into the warm arms of Foundation care, where the securing aspect of SCP comes into play and on-site containment specialists take over. Engineers, techs, scientists, and cold-hearted employees design all manner of plans for making sure that what's been caught stays exactly where it's been tied up, while also granting access to it for further study. After all, the Foundation needs a path for the next area of friends, the researchers. Researchers are the brains of the Foundation who take over after the Brawn has wrangled a new thing that should not be, poached from the greatest scientific teams the world has to offer. Researchers are pulled from every single field in existence when it comes to the sciences, including theoretical items. Ever wonder where some students of degrees that apply to nothing substantial in a capitalist society end up? Only the Foundation has open jobs available for them, where their 8.5 by 11-inch pieces of paper actually make back the money that went into obtaining them. Never say they aren't miracle workers. Security Officers. Without the security officers ready to lay their lives and sanities on the line, there wouldn't be a successful operation. The guards at Foundation facilities are tasked with making sure that all physical and info property is secure from any form of threat or theft. Obviously, the Info Security Department needs work, which is how the SCP came to the point of needing the Social Outreach Program. But they can assure you that about half of the previous administration is now sitting in D-Class, providing service in a way that can't fail them again. Congratulations on your promotion, boys. Go do the SCP proud. Tactical Response Officers. These are much more competent and careful than the previous IT department. Highly trained, heavily armed, and provided with the most responsible performance-enhancing hormones and serums the Foundation has ever produced. These men and women are the mighty fists of the SCP, sent to tackle the most dangerous anomalies and show enemy groups of interest exactly who the Foundation is, and that they are indeed the most capable hands for containment of world-ending threats. Tactical Response Officers are selected from top-secret assignment military teams of world governments in all fields of outstanding physical and strategic performance. What is lacking in a candidate is made up for inside the Foundation, resulting in the world's first and only true super soldier program in reality. Field Agents. These men in black are cooler than alien hunters because they hunt everything. Field Agents are the first to arrive at the scene of oddities in the wild, mainly because they manage to find oddities before anybody else does, and make reports that lead to action within the Foundation. They are the eyes, ears, and first action hands of the SCP, hidden in every country's hierarchy of service work and crisis response groups, as well as companies dealing in fields that may encounter anomalies at a higher rate than others. You will never know a field agent if you meet one, and field agents rarely find each other outside assigned Foundation partnerships and team arrangements. Field agents are extremely important and deal with first contact circumstances, but their authority ends the moment a situation is de-escalated to a point when only the Foundation and humans who need quarantine are aware of anomalies. From there, containment teams are contacted from the closest site equipped to deal with the situation. In the event that a situation encountered by a field agent cannot be de-escalated under their resources and training, mobile task forces will need to be called in ahead of, or alongside, containment teams. Mobile task forces are the SWAT teams or Navy SEAL units of the Foundation. Here's where you'll find tactical response officers in their natural habitat, as well as multi-talented researchers, veteran field agents who have been promoted after years of dealing with anomalies, and specialists recruited for the occasion. Public-facing records in Foundation archives indicate a list of 45 task forces. Each has their own logo or call sign, and are allowed a code phrase for identification. Here is Mobile Task Force Epsilon 6, known as the Village Idiots, who deal with investigation, containment, and cleanup of activity found in rural and suburban territories. Now, let's top it off with the bigwigs, site directors, and O5 council members. A site director can be found at every major Foundation facility. They are the principal of the school, CEO of the company, captain of the force, etc. Nothing happens in the building they're unaware of, so as you can imagine, they have Class B badges and Level 4 security clearance. Now, the O5 Council. This is the committee consisting of the highest-ranking directors of the Foundation. They have complete and total access to all information under the Foundation's umbrella, and this is the supreme direction board of the entire enterprise. Global, invisible, and wielding absolute power, the O5 are Level 5 Class A members with their identities being referred to only by a call sign, O51 to O513. Research on the O5 Council beyond these facts is forbidden, though there have been rumors that the So as you can see, even the hierarchy of the Foundation is as scary and mysterious as the entities found in containment. In fact, one of the most mysterious aspects of the chain of command is the position between site directors and the O5 Council, known as the Administrator. The Administrator is... Okay, now you probably see what I mean. Let's move on, shall we? The SCP Foundation is underground. That's not meant literally, but if you're asking about it that way, yeah, about 8 out of every 10 Foundation facilities are quite literally underground, deep inside the earth or sometimes the ocean to prevent items from being accessed or escaping. Secure means secure, and nothing is more secure than hidden and buried under thousands of tons of dirt, rock, and metal, or water. Found throughout the Foundation are sites and areas, each with their own sectors and units. The distinction between a site and an area is this. A site is what's known as a covert facility, meaning that the building housing the site or its entrance can be seen or known to the public, but it's covered up by a facade. Fake companies, government branches, schools that nobody gets into but still has a pretty great football team, that sort of thing. Hidden in plain sight, you see? Why would the Foundation choose to have sites like that if they're capable of building areas which are completely out of sight? Because anomalies can show up anywhere and often among civilization, places where mobile task forces can be launched quickly and quietly need to be within areas of society. It's easier to be 2 streets down from a monster attack and capable of rushing over in the disguise of police cars than to send a helicopter from an ocean-based bunker. Sometimes an ocean bunker or something equally secret is necessary, however, which is why areas exist. An SCP Foundation area is far from cities, towns, and villages because they contain the most dangerous items in the organization's care. The kind of threat contained in the walls of an area is so severe that all Foundation areas have been armed with nuclear warheads built into the structure to ensure complete and total destruction of anomalies that have breached containment and things like them. It is an extreme failsafe measure, but it's necessary for the survival of this planet. As stated, each site or area has its own set of sectors and units. A sector is simply a section set up for a distinct purpose. Containment, research, archives, that sort of thing. A unit is a self-contained cell that holds Foundation anomalies inside, which is designed to seal itself in case of breach or catastrophic site failure. Think of these as the quarantine zones or display shelves for a set of items or beings in facility care, like the employee break room or the D-Class living quarters, neither of which look like a prison, we assure you. It is not Site 18's fault that the architect used the same blueprints for both units. That was due to an info hazard leak. Anyway, who wants to hear about the labels for all the spots in a facility? I know I do. An armed facility is exactly as it sounds, heavily armed and ready to pick a fight above ground or suppress a containment breach below. Containment facilities are naturally for containment, and can have any assortment of subtags for things in containment, like the following. Bio, which is the code for biohazardous anomalies and biologically based creatures. Dim, which is for extra-dimensional entities, tears in this dimension that cannot be moved, anything with the capability to access other dimensions, and anomalies that concern spacetime. Hum is humanoid, the code for containment facilities or units dealing with sentient, sapient human, human-like, or anthropomorphic beings capable of understanding, communication, and obeying instructions. The boys at the Foundation had quite a tough time figuring out whether I belonged in bio, dim, or humanoid before we ended up reaching our current service arrangement. Otherwise, I'd be broadcasting live from one of the cells and could describe it to you. Shout out to Dr. J for being a true friend, seriously, and the only one here who recognized the value I could offer if I wasn't tied to a wall. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, site codes. Protected, aka the prefix TED, is for protected areas where anomalies and their influence will never be allowed. Severe measures are taken to make sure that protected zones are kept as clean of evil as a baby's nursery, thus the prefix selection TED. Like a teddy. Get it? Viz is for provisional, which are built around anomalies that can't be moved. As you can imagine, these are annoying to put up and can be painfully expensive, but it can be difficult to move entire masses of land, you know? That's why the Foundation prefers finding a new classification for items in Viz sites. Neutralized. Rel is reliquary, where you can find artifacts and objects of religious or historical significance, like George Washington's wooden dentures. Why is that in there? Wouldn't you like to know? Stow is for storage, also known as the broom closet. Just kidding. It's for anything safe that's also meant to be in facility care. Precautions are still taken for the protection of these items, but they don't need a laser matrix to keep them in, and most don't even need gloves to touch. Finally, we have a leftover tag, Post. This is an observation post, just a tiny Foundation facility located close to, but not strictly in the same vicinity as a site. These are typically used to keep an eye on locals and their communications for Foundation info leaks, monitor or investigate anomalies of a complicated nature that require a long-term presence, and keep an eye on groups of interest, many of which despise the Foundation. That hatred is often mutual. Let's take a look at the peers and polluters in this field then, shall we? 25 groups of interest can be found on public record, and they're as varied in their makeup, intention, competency, and disposition towards the Foundation as the items in containment. The list consists of 6 companies, 5 religions, and at least 9 enemies, with 2 legitimate allies, 2 weird prankster/artist groups, and 3 relationships best described as, it's complicated. The history of interaction with these groups is long and winding, but we'll take a brief look at a few that stand out in particular to give an idea of how odd or dangerous groups of interest can be in the world of the Foundation. Marshall, Carter, and Dark Limited. This group is notorious to the Foundation and a true adversary if ever there was one. They're an extremely private club based in London that's made up of the super rich and super powerful, with government ties across the world. The members are the secret shakers and movers of modern society who have a vested interest in the collection of everything rare and valuable, including anomalous objects, and they'll spare no expense in trying to get something that's useful to them. MCD has been the cause of a lot of grief for the Foundation, instigating several containment breaches and even trying to blow new holes in Foundation defenses through information leaks. Bribes, threats, extortion, nothing is below them, and they've even made moves to force knowledge of the Foundation to go public. And yes, what you're thinking might be correct. Marshall, Carter, and Dark's attempts very well might have led to the current circumstances that bring you and I together. Do you feel good about being in the know about the secrets now? I hope you feel a little bit guilty. I did it for fun. They did it because they're terrible. Are We Cool Yet, or AWCY, is an artist collective with no structure or hierarchy that is all about anomalous objects and their consequences. They seek to make art about anomalies, steal anomalous artifacts, or produce anomalous artifacts and put them on display as art. While the artistic examination of this world's anomalies is something that even some researchers can appreciate, the spread of items that can be dangerous just through being seen is something the Foundation cannot get behind, and the proof of this group's inability to properly deal with their subjects has been recorded. Members of Are We Cool Yet have created public galleries and pieces that have led to death, injury, and damage to psychologies and lifestyles. The reaction from many members as a result of these events has been to embrace the impact, even if it resulted in harm, especially because it resulted in harm. An effect was made, so it was successful, and the artists have taken pride in it. This has done a lot more than just get them on the books at the SCP. The Church of the Broken God is a religion that insists artifacts within Foundation care are actually pieces of a deity that was broken into hundreds of components upon creation of the universe. If they collect the items and put them all back together, they will not only resurrect this god, but gain godhood themselves. The Church of the Broken God sees all Foundation members as heretics and act with extreme violence towards personnel. They have no regard for other anomalous items and will recklessly cause containment breaches to serve as distractions or punishments to the Foundation. 4 items in SCP Foundation care are currently listed as pieces of the Broken God. Wilson's Wildlife Solutions is one of the few allies the Foundation has. They specialize in the containment and care of paranormal animals and irregular creatures, and have been working with the Foundation since 2008 following a containment incident. They're an ally, but they're under Foundation care because of incompetency. As far as friends go in the world of the SCP, the Foundation is the biggest dog in the park. There's not many allies to speak of. So as you can see, groups of interest are their very own interesting topic, with plenty of variety in their makeup. It's a shame that most of them hate the Foundation and are always trying to steal extremely dangerous items or set them free and cause mayhem. But no conflict at all makes for a boring story, right? Speaking of stories, as you might imagine, the Foundation has a very long and very crazy history. And while much of it is written about by fanfiction authors, some of it is true. You can find the canon history of the Foundation and its incidents within the addendum reports of many items, as well as an entire category of canon Foundation tales on the public wiki. If you're a heavy reader of more than just anomaly reports, we recommend taking a look. And now, as our tour winds down, I'd like to point everyone over to something they can take with them, or the knowledge of it anyway. There are over 3,000 items listed in the Foundation database, but SCP-3301 is the only one that's just as fun as it is embarrassing to the organization. SCP-3301 is called The Foundation, a game by Cryogen Studios, a division of Dr. Wondertainment. It is described as an ornate silver box with a latch and silver key. Inside is a board game with several game pieces, cards, and an instruction manual. It is in fact an SCP Foundation board game. Now you too can be part of the action. There are even scans of cards you can print out or use as a template to complete the collection. Does it actually reflect the kind of things found in containment when you play with the cards, like some sort of even more horrific version of Yu-Gi-Oh? We're not telling. Please, feel free to check out and play the Foundation and introduce it to your local tabletop circle today. On behalf of the Foundation and Amino Apps, I would like to thank you for participating in the Socialize, Communicate, and Publicize initiative. Do remember to visit me on SCP Foundation Amino by searching for the name Nightmind, and let me and the Foundation know what really interested you. Go ahead, tell us. Follow the link in the video description or my pinned comment. Find my post and tell me. Tell us. Tell us immensely. Tell us in detail. Tell us everything you felt about this experience. Thanks for joining me in the dark again this evening at Site 98. Once more, I'm Nick Nocturne, and like So in the season of giving, we've decided to bring
Hello viewers, and welcome back to Nightmind. Thanks for tuning in this delightful October evening. All year round, we usually like to dig into things that are all manner of dark and mysterious, but this season is always special. To keep in the spirit of making October fresh and exciting, I've turned to a new source of information and discovery to lead us on tonight's journey into the weird and wonderful, the Internet. I'd like to think that most homes by now are aware of personal computers or are on their way to getting one, but for those who are currently without internet access, this should be a great preview of everything incredible hiding online. We're not the only adventurers in the realm of the arcane. Those on the World Wide Web are also walkers in the dark woods of reality. Follow me now as we explore a very special website with even more impressive content. Secrets, Cryptids, and Paranormal, or SCP for short, is an internet site that opens to a bold warning. Never believe everything you are told. The world around us is filled with creatures and horrors that they don't want you to know about. You found the one place you can turn to so you can see what's really hiding in plain sight and save yourself. According to the webmaster, They discovered a box of files 2 years ago in a locked section of an abandoned office building slated for demolition that contained a great number of secrets. The office building was a front for the infamous Men from Nowhere, who are the gatekeepers to information about the occult, the paranormal, and the horrifying that the shadow operatives of the world keep trying to hide from the people. Below are the pages we've made sharing this highly secretive information that will shock and enlighten you. On each, you will find a file number. We are labeling them Secrets, Cryptids, Paranormal, followed by that file number from the original box. So look for SCP- followed by a number, as reference. We're told to click on every link to arm ourselves with knowledge, and that's precisely what I did, taking pictures of each page for you to compose our journey. Scrolling down the page, we read that the files listed are all severe threats to the ordinary citizen and plagues on neighborhoods around the United States. Be on the watch for all of these dangers and prepare your friends and family. The SCP items listed have name labels provided by the webmaster. Granny, Ice Cream Man, Life-Size Toy House, The Doorman, Stage Death, Author Empathy, Billy's Treehouse, and The Candidate. Now, I must say that even if we have explored a great number of intimidating mysteries together, remember to proceed with me at your own caution. You'll see nothing terrible, but your imagination can lead you to some dark places as we read. Keep the lights around you low, but do keep them on. SCP-545, Granny, may be determined as 3 separate parts. She is described as an elderly woman, most likely of Eastern European descent. Her skin is tanned and lined with age, but she has no blemishes or liver spots. Her hair is thick, completely white, and when let down reaches her waist, though she prefers to keep it pinned up. Her eyes are bright blue and clear, with no signs of aging. Despite her evidence of youth, she very clearly seems to be at least 80 years old, but is doing physically exceptionally well according to all manner of testing, and her senses are far above average for her age. The woman claims to be over 800 years old, and goes by a number of names: Granny, Beatrice, Miss Widow, and Totenkinder. She's generally pleasant and enjoys leisure activities like sewing, cooking, and gardening. Altogether a kind older woman, which seems to directly clash with the use of SCP-545-B, her only source of addiction. The underlying cause of her dependence on 545-B appears to lie in her pathological fear of death. SCP-545-B is a colorless, odorless liquid extracted from the body and found bottled in the home of Granny. Under examination, it appears to be slightly more viscous than water, but varies in texture and taste. It has been labeled Liquid Life, as drinking it extends the life of the user, slowing the process of aging, and often either slowing or completely ridding the body of disease. It can even heal major wounds if an injured person drank it quickly enough. Repeated consumption can prolong life indefinitely, but results in a dependency on the liquid while generating a borderline sociopathic attitude in users towards its creation. That seems like a necessary evil in order to use and especially to generate liquid life, because, according to SCP-545-C, a thin and weathered sheet of yellow parchment holding the recipe, the most vital ingredient for crafting the liquid is a human being, preferably a child, for maximum potency. With ingredients listed such as leeches, chicken fetuses, snakeskin, and spider eggs added to the main piece, a child, it's easy to recognize the danger to neighborhoods the webmaster wants us to see. Granny is a real grim fairy tale version of a witch. The recipe even calls for a large boiling pot, like a cauldron, capable of containing a human. SCP-545 was located in a small Midwestern town under the guise of an elderly woman with mild dementia. The woods her residential neighborhood were located in led to an area near a river that was prone to sinkholes and had a small history of children becoming lost or dying in the woods. She was described by neighbors as kind and caring, and had a penchant for giving neighborhood kids small treats in return for helping her collect glass bottles. Her mode of operation was simple. Granny would buy a small house in a relatively dangerous area, collect glass bottles around the neighborhood, and over time, gain the trust of children before going for a walk and pretending to be lost. Any children she encountered would be convinced to take her back home under the promise of food and candy. Interviews with Granny reveal she has repeated this process every 5 years or so, moving on once the amount of wandering children has been depleted, or when police attention has grown too strong to remain. Our next link leads us to SCP-1386, the Ice Cream Man. This was first known as only a white Good Humor brand ice cream truck in poor condition that lacked any images or descriptions of its products. Originally, there seemed to be only a case of a living ice cream van. No one was ever seen driving behind the wheel, and none of the doors or windows opened through conventional means. The van would play instrumental melodies of Pop Goes the Weasel and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star 24 hours a day, alternating between the two every 4 hours. There's a thin slot in the middle of the driver's side door, which only becomes visible when the van dispenses the ice cream products it sells. Along with the ice cream, a small receipt is delivered with a price written on it in very sloppy but legible handwriting. Payment is issued through the same slot the ice cream comes from, and the van drives off immediately after receiving payment. Prices, flavors, and even the makeup of products fluctuate daily, but it never seems to actually run out of stock. Testing was issued on the van, and the results are as follows. In March of 1987, 2 doctors each requested a cookies and cream smoothie and received it exactly as expected. One was marked with a handwritten letter M, and the other a letter G. The receipt was $4.89, paid without incident. On April 1st, another doctor approached and asked for a Neapolitan ice cream sandwich. The van issued what looked like a meat and cheese sandwich with tomato. Upon closer investigation, it was revealed that the meat, cheese, and tomato were just perfectly shaped scoops of chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream. The receipt issued read, April Fools, and the van drove away without requiring payment. April 17, 1987. Another doctor issues a test, requesting 1 peach push pop. It is received, but the price is quite high, $16.27. The doctor expressed disapproval at the price and refused to pay the full amount. When he attempted to walk away, the van opened the sonnet's door to an approximate height of 6 feet, issued a large rusted steel trap, captured the doctor, and dragged him inside. The slot shrunk to its former size and then spewed out a pink substance for 5 straight minutes before driving away. Inspection of the pink substance revealed it to consist of blood, skin, and bone fragments, all with DNA matching the captured doctor. April 30th, 1987. Testing D-Class personnel requested a Caesar salad-flavored popsicle. After a few moments, the van dispensed the popsicle with an off-green coloration noted to taste of lightly dressed lettuce and a hint of croutons. The receipt was $4.56, paid without incident. In May of that year, a new testing method was conducted. D-Class number 7, unable to speak, wrote down his request. Vanilla cone and chocolate. The note was lifted to the dispensing slot. After a full minute, a new slot opened 3 inches below the usual area. A thin, flesh-colored appendage slid out to retrieve the paper before retreating and closing the slot. Moments later, the normal area opened and the ice cream was received. The receipt was for 97 cents, paid without incident. D7 described his interaction in frantic sign language. It was a hand, not human. 2 fingers and a thumb. It was bony like a dead body, and it smelled. It smelled dead. In June, the test was repeated. A request was written down for a banana sundae with hot fudge. Again, the secondary slot opened, and the bony hand came out to process the order. The receipt was $2.78, paid without incident. The D-Class personnel stated, "There's got to be somebody in there. I could swear I heard somebody cough, like they had a cold or something." 2 days later, an incident occurs without testing. D7, the first tester to see the hand, is found dead in their holding block. Autopsy reveals they died of strangulation, matching the suspicion raised by light bruising found on the neck. The death was marked as suicide, even though D7 did not share a cell, and the door showed no signs of forced entry. The report ends here. There really isn't much to say except to carry on the warning of the webmaster. Be careful about what's in your neighborhood, including ice cream trucks. Our next page deals with SCP-2369, Life-Size Toy House, a split-level home located in an unspecified suburban neighborhood in Iowa. There are no reliable records or witness accounts to explain its origin or history. When at least 2 living humans are inside with front and back doors closed, the interior will emit a blinding flash of light and all subjects within will disappear without a trace. The interior will then reset to its initial state, with all removed or damaged items restored.